There goes the last sip of tea. Welcome back, or welcome to the channel. If you are new here, we create content around web design and web development. Web design so far, but web development in the future. It's going to be either Webflow or Next.js. We'll see how things go. Type in the comments what do you guys want. But for this video, I'm back with a Figma tutorial, and this is going to be all about prototyping. So if you haven't played around with Figma Prototypes before, this is the video for you. It is not going to be super advanced or anything, but you know what, let's take a look at what we'll be creating. All right, so here we have two screens, one for the hero section of the website that I'm currently working on, which is going to be my portfolio. And then we have a screen for how the menu would look like when you click on the burger icon. It's literally called the burger icon. I'm not being fat, but when you click the burger icon, that is what happens. It's supposed to happen, the menu to open up or slide in sort of from the left. And I've already done some prototyping here, so let's take a look at how this, just a quick preview, right? Give it a second. Fit, and when you click on the icon, boom, now that's clean. That's clean, right? So you can see like a little bit of like, let's see that again. So like you can see a little bit of stagger right to the links, and then you can also see like the backdrop sort of like fading in, and that sort of blurs the background as everything is happening. So there's a lot of things happening here, not a lot, but quite a few things happening. But we are going to be starting with just the hero section. We're going to be creating the menu screen, and then we're going to be figuring out how we can animate this. So it's going to be a juicy one. So yeah, so let's get started. All right, so to start off, let's just take a look at what we have here so that we can recreate it. As always, like the key to making anything is just dividing a big task into like very small manageable chunks. So if we take a look at what we want to achieve here, we have some sort of backdrop that sort of blurs the background. We have the sidebar, and we have the top navigation area with the logo and the X button, and then we have the links. So we'll start recreating this, and then we'll figure out the animation later. So I'll just Alt and drag the first screen that we have here, and I will group everything that we have and just sort of lock it for now, right? So that I don't select things by mistake. And then what I'll do is I will start off by creating the backdrop, right? And I will give it this color. I will make it like, let's say 90% opacity, to give the blur. I'm just going to give a background blur of maybe 8 pixels. I think, yeah, that should be fine. Now the next step is the sidebar, and I think I have some grids here that I can take a look at. Yes, and that's just a 4-column grid with a 24 pixels margin and a 16 pixels gutter. If you sort of want to copy the grid layout that I have here, but any sort of size would work. And I just want to have the sidebar as such. By the way, I'm pressing Shift and G to hide my grids. And let's give this color or fill of this navy blue, right? And we can also give this a 90% opacity, just to have a little bit of, opacity there. And what we need to do, if we look back at what we have here, there is this stroke that we have, right? So I'm going to give this, a stroke of this color, and let's say 15% opacity, but I don't want it from all sides. I just want it from the left side. So to achieve that, I will go here and I will select left. And there we have this sidebar done. Now I want the X button, right, and the logo. So I'm just going to grab them from this screen and I'm going to drag them here, right? And I am going to bring back my grids. I'm going to sort of align them as such. Okay. Now we want to make this into an X rather than 3, the burger menu, right? So first of all, I will give this a width of 1 pixel and just make this into 0% opacity so I don't see it. I'm just gonna click Shift and start rotating this. Hold Shift and start rotating this into -45 and this into 45, right? And I'm just gonna start aligning everything right in the middle. And that's it. You have your X button and the logo, good to go. Now we just need to add the links. That's gonna be very simple. So we're just gonna say, I don't know, what did I have? I had contact, work, blah, blah, blah. So I'll just type this in quickly. Done. I think I do need some extra padding on the left here, so I'm just gonna push everything a little bit more. Or I can just increase the width here, right? To something like this. I want like 24 pixels. So I'm just going to move this as such. And we are good to go, right? So if we head to the prototype section and we try to prototype make our animation basically, or our flow. So I'll say you click the button and then, or I mean, you select the element that you want, let's say on click, right? So I want, when I click this, I want to go to this specific page, and then it's gonna tell you, what do you want to happen on click or on drag, or if you hover this, what do you want, like this, when do you want this interaction to happen? So basically it's on click for me. And then I want to say navigate to this hero section screen, and then I want this to be smart animate. Let's just have gentle for now, okay? But we're going to change this in a bit. And then you want the opposite to happen when you click the X button. So if you click the X button and then hold it and go to the first screen, and again, it's going to tell you on click, navigate to, the first screen, and then smart animate, gentle, blah, 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 right? So now let's try and see if this works as intended. Now, if you go up here to the preview and click preview, you'll notice something weird really happen. The logo moves and the interaction is not exactly what we want it to be. So these sort of like fade in, there is no movement, there's no sliding, and that's expected because we don't have these elements, the sidebar and these links in the first screen. So Figma doesn't know the initial spot of these elements, so it just fades them in. So we need to sort of fix that. So I'll fix that first by going back to the initial screen and just grouping everything together again and locking this. I don't want this interfering with anything. And I'll start renaming my layers here to blur. You don't need to do this, but I sort of want to, I always like to name my layers just so I know what's happening, right? I'll take link 1, link 2, and link 3, and header, sidebar, and blur, copy them, and then paste them into my first screen. And now we have 2 identical screens. Now we need to do something. We need to animate or show Figma where we want the initial spot for these elements to be. So first and foremost, I'm gonna uncheck clip content. And what that does is if I decide to move this to the to outside the frame, it's gonna show me where it's going. If we have that checked, we can't really see what's happening. And why that's important is because I want to move my my elements outside of the frame, but I also want to see where they're going, right? So I just have them here to the edge, and I'm just gonna click my right arrow key to move it out of frame, and I will uncheck clip content. Oops. That's not what I meant to do. I meant to make sure you select the frame itself and then say clip content. And now we can see where it is, although it is within our frame, right? But since we have content to not be clipped, we can see what's happening outside of the frame, which is exactly what we want, right? So this is going to be the initial spot, right, of this specific sidebar. So now let's move to the blur backdrop, which is this, and then make this basically into an invisible layer, so 0%. Now let's check what happens in the preview. So when I open up my preview again, right, and click on this, we see that we now get the slide animation, and the logo doesn't act weird, and it's great. Like, we're getting somewhere, right? The only thing left is fixing the animation. As you can see, like, there, it sort of springs from the left, and we don't really need that. And we need to add like a stagger animation to these links. And I think basically that's it. So we'll close this and we'll start fixing what we need to fix. First and foremost, let's get the stagger effect done. So what I did was I started moving these elements right here individually. So I moved the header, and then I moved the first link. This is exactly what I did, and to sort of like get the stagger effect, right? And why this works, I'll explain to you right now. Let's just move this to the side here. And what we've done here by adjusting these the positions for these elements is we've created the stagger effect, because if you think about it, each of these links need to travel from point A to point B, right? So that they can all get to the specific spot towards the end, right? And it is going to take this element right here a little bit more time to get to the final position, right? So by us creating basically the sort of step effect, we're going to create the stagger effect in our final animation. So if we take a look at our preview right here, boom. So you can see the stagger effect. We're getting somewhere, right? We just want it to be a little slower and smoother. And to achieve that, we need to, first of all, let me turn off clip content. I don't need that anymore because we've already fixed our starting positions. And now let's go to the prototype tab and let's change from gentle to custom spring. And as you can see here, the spring sort of like overshoots this baseline right here. And this means that it is going to sort of have this bouncy effect. If we don't want the bouncy effect, we can decrease the stiffness. And I think we need to increase the damping as well, just a tiny bit. We can even increase the mass, right? And that sort of will not make your elements sort of overshoot, right? We can do 600 here, or maybe like 700, and that's just going to increase or decrease the whole duration. And yeah, I think this should work. So we selected custom, spring 660 ms, stiffness 80, damping 20, and mass 1.1. We're going to do the same for this one, right? So custom spring 660, 80. I think if we just if we just adjust the stiffness and the damping and the mass, it's gonna adjust the time anyways. So that's done. Now let's check, and I think we should be good to go. Boom. How smooth is that? It's so clean, right? So we are done with this sort of like really nice stagger animation to the, let's go to the preview tab, just to see it a little bigger. And yeah, this is exactly how I've achieved the stagger effect for the sidebar animation. All right, and we are done with the tutorial. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, leave a thumbs up. Leave your comments down below if you have any questions. I'll answer all of them. And if you have like suggestions for the future, like if you want to see this, for example, developed in Next.js or on Webflow, any suggestions, feel free to put them down in the comment section. But if you are now an absolute giga chad when it comes to Figma prototyping and you want to take animations to the next step, I've got a video out on jitter.video, which is an animation tool that's very simple and it's very quick to use, and it'll help you like animate your app designs or your web designs to a whole new level. So if you're interested in that video, is going to be right here. So click on it and I'll see you in that video, or I'll see you in the next one. So until next time.